Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Assalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi rasulillah ajmain. Amma ba'du. Puji syukur kita ucapkan kepada Allah Subhanahu wa taala atas segala limpahan rahmat kepada kita semua yang Allah masih selamatkan kita di tengah pandemi corona ini, dan insya Allah kita memohon kepada Allah tetap kita semua dan keluarga kita selalu dalam lindungan Allah Subhanahu wa taala. Salam dan salam kita haturkan kehadirat baginda Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam dengan melafazkan Allahumma shalli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad. Assalamualaikum ya Rasulullah. Mudah-mudahan dengan banyaknya berselawat kita kepada Rasulullah, kita termasuk umat yang Rasulullah akui di yaumil akhir nanti, yang insya Allah akan mendapatkan syafaat dari beliau. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Baik, murid-murid sekalian, untuk menambah kesemangatan antum pada pertemuan kita ini, mari sama-sama kita mulai dengan jargon sekolah kita, yaitu jargon insan Rabbani. Kita mulai ya. Rabbani, amanah dan beradab. Dan pada kesempatan ini juga mari sama-sama kita mengingatkan kembali diri kita akan 9 target lulusan yang kita miliki, yaitu berakidah yang sahih, ibadah yang benar, akhlak mulia, sehat dan kuat raganya, bersemangat mencari ilmu, disiplin dan mandiri, bersemangat dan mampu melaksanakan amal ma'ruf nahi mungkar, siap menghadapi tantangan menjadi warga dunia abad ke-21, mampu dan terbiasa membaca Al-Quran dengan benar, serta berusaha memahami isi kandungan Al-Quran. Nah, murid-murid sekalian, siapa yang masih ingat materi kita pada pekan yang lalu? Coba ya, kayaknya Arkan ingat nih enggak ya? Daryl masih ingat nih kayaknya. Coba disebutkan. Ya, materi kita pada pekan yang lalu adalah membahas tentang bagaimana mendengarkan dalam TOEFL test. Nah, mendengarkan ini ada beberapa tahapan ya, ada beberapa jenis. Kemarin baru kita sampai di jenis yang dasar ya, jenis membedakan sound. How to differentiate sound. And for today, we're gonna try to learn about reading, because reading is one of the TOEFL test part ya. Dan biasanya reading ini di seksi yang paling akhir atau terakhir dari setelah rangkaian sesi-sesi listening dan structure ya. Nah, dan karena ini sesi terakhir juga, maka dalam reading itu perlu berstrategi ya. Dan hanya reading, karena teks yang muncul dalam TOEFL ini adalah teks-teks yang mungkin relatif panjang bagi sebagian antum ya, karena jarang membaca dalam bahasa Inggris. Dan maka dari itu, kali ini kita akan mempelajari tentang how dan what to read. Ya, akan kita bahas tentang tipe-tipe atau jenis-jenis dari membaca. Ternyata membaca itu juga ada jenis-jenisnya ya. Dan juga apa saja bacaan-bacaan dalam setiap tipe ini. Baik, tetap bersemangat. Okay, class, let's start our lesson. For the first, let's pray. Raditu billahi rabbi wa bil islami dina wa bi muhammadina wa rasula rabbi zidni ilman warzuqni fahma. Amin. Okay, class, like I've promised to you before, today we're going to learn about how and what to read. So, when I ask you a question, type of reading, anyone can answer? How many types of reading and what are they? Some of you may think that types of reading is like narrative, like procedure, like what else? Expositions, like reports that you have learned before in the 10th grade and 11th grades, right? But types of reading is not that. That is the types of text. So what types of reading? So types of reading are extensive reading and intensive reading. So today we're going to talk a lot about extensive reading and intensive reading itself. So are the two types of reading. Have you ever heard this before? Or this is the first time you heard it? Luckily for you that have heard it before, yeah? Okay, so what is the extensive reading itself? It's from the lucalamperello.com. They explain about ex extensive reading is to read extensively, is to simply read as much as possible without concerning oneself with the minutiae of meaning and the occasionally unknown word. This is done by reading for large swaths of time and looking up words only when you deem it's absolutely necessary to you understand of the text. So, extensive reading um, said that it's mostly done for long texts or for the moderate text itself. Later on, we talk about it more. And the most important thing about extensive reading, you do the read based on your interests. It means that you choose the things that you want to read. It means you are the one that control your reading itself. That whether you need it or whether you want to know about it. So it's about the extensive reading, and it take a long time of period. Later on we discuss, yeah. And it's not necessary for you to to find or to detail to the text to the things in the text itself. So you just keep reading for your enjoyment, and you may find that it's enjoy for you to read the text. So it's for your pleasure, for general. And the criteria of the text for attention reading, firstly, it's most interesting. Because since it's you choose your own material for it, because it must be interest for you. And then level appropriate. What is meant by level appropriate? It means that the text that you read is on your level. In this case, is English. So we know whether the English text is in your level or not by if you had to understand the text, it means that the text is not your level. Or if you find the text is too easy for you to understand, it means that it's also not in your level. So if it's too hard for you, so it cannot be included as the extensive reading because it's not in your level. And then the moderate length. It means that the length of the text is need to be moderate. Some research agree that the length of extensive reading at least is 5 pages, 5 to 30 pages. They set the limit for it. So when we think about the 5 pages, consider as a long text, right? Long articles. So that's why reading articles may include as the extensive reading. Later on, we talk about that. Okay, next is longer block time. It means that when you do the extensive reading, you need more time to read it. Can be couple of hours, can be days, or can be months because it's a long materials. And you do it, remember, you must feel enjoy reading it. Okay, next, the last point of the criteria is relax. So some people agree that when you do extensive reading, you must be in your most relaxing positions. Some of you like to read in the soft couch, right? Or in the soft sofa, right? But some of you may think that reading in the middle of a garden is so relaxing. So a different person has different criteria about the relaxing in reading itself. So choose your the most relaxing position when you read, and when you want to do the extensive reading, please do in this position, because relax is so important in extensive reading, because it takes a long time and it must create happiness when you read. Okay, example of text in extensive reading. Here there are several points. Yeah, you may say magazines, comics, native books, interest knowledge books. So, of course, it's not just limited just that I have written here, but many others reading material may include as extensive reading itself. This is just the examples of the of text in extensive reading. Why magazine? Because in some magazine they put like several articles or journals, right? That may you find any interest to read it. And comics, of course, comics. We know that comics consists more than 5 pages, and you need to read it, and you feel enjoy after read it, right? And the native books. The native books, since we learn English, the native books here may include as English book, yeah, interest knowledge book. Yeah, it's not say that subject or textbook for your school subject is not include extensive reading. Of course not. For examples like you like social subject. When you think that you feel enjoy reading the social material in the textbook, it's also may include as the extensive reading. So, I'm gonna talk more about why we need to learn extensive reading. Okay. Okay. Now we come to the intensive reading. It's take from the Teach English articles. Is from BBC, yeah, British Broadcast Council. So they define that intensive reading involves learner reading in detail with specific learning aims and tasks. It can be compared with the extensive reading, which involves learner reading text for enjoyment and to develop general reading skill. So it's slightly different like extensive reading, where extensive reading is for enjoyment and to develop general reading skills. But in intensive reading, you you need to read in detail because there are specific aim and tasks need to be done after reading the text. Yeah, mostly the reading materials that you done in school is is included as intensive reading, because after read the materials you're gonna need a specific learning aims and tasks here, like doing assessment, doing the exercise, doing the test, like that. That's why it's categorized as intensive reading. Okay, so what is the criteria of intensive reading? The criteria of intensive reading is also need to be interesting. What I mean by interesting here, it means that the informations that preserve in the intensive reading need to be fresh. It means that need to be important to read, yeah, because need to be actual, factual, and actual. Okay, and then the second point is short. Uh, Opposite like the extensive reading, which is moderate longer, but in intensive reading the text is short, yeah, because you just do it for specific use or specific goals and tasks, yeah. And then the third is brief periods of time, yeah, of course, since it's short, the time that you need to read also short, also brief here. And the most important thing is of the criteria is the most mental energy. Okay, you see the difference now, right? In extensive reading, you read for enjoyment. But in intensive reading, you use the most mental energy of yours to read the text. So enjoyment and energy. I mean that energy consuming, a lot energy consuming. What can happen? Because in the intensive reading, you need to fulfill the specific learning goals at that day. It's mean that the purpose of your reading is to answer the task or answer the test. Why it consumes a lot of energy since it's so detailed. So it means that you need to detail in reading it. Okay, examples of text for intensive reading can be news articles, Wikipedia article, short stories, blog posts, manual books. Yeah, when we talk about news articles, of course we need to do a lot of attention doing the reading, right? Have you ever feel so tired after you read a news? Okay, some of you may say yes, some of you may say no. Later on we talk about it. Okay, why someone people tired and why some people feel oh, no, it's okay. I like it. And then Wikipedia articles. Okay, when we talk about the Wikipedia, there are the tons of information inside the Wikipedia, especially for a topic that we choose itself. They're gonna put everything that relate to the topic that we search, right? So we need to pay a lot of attentions in reading the articles so we can find what information that we need, right? Okay. Then short stories. It's like when we talk about the narrative text in the text, something like that. It's like short story, like. And then the blog spots. Yeah, someone make a blog and they post it, or someone makes status in the Instagram or in the Facebook, something like that. It's quite little longer than usual, than just a quote. You need a lot pair of attentions or mental energy to understand what the writer want to say. That's why it's included as intensive reading. And the next is the manual books. Of course, when you read the manual book, you need to pay a lot of attention here, right? Because you need to know how something works from its manual. So it's also included as the intensive reading. Of course, many examples of intensive reading text can be found, but this is just the examples that I written here. Mostly the textbook that we use in school is the text for intensive reading because we need to achieve certain learning goals from reading. Now, if I have a question, so which types of reading that is used in TOEFL? Hmm. Okay, since mostly of you doing the test frustratedly, of course, it's gonna be included in yes, intensive reading. So TOEFL reading sections is intensive reading. Now we come to the next question. Which type of reading that you need to do so you can pass reading section in TOEFL? Who can answer me? Since that in TOEFL is intensive reading, so we just need to learn intensive reading? No, of course, we need to learn both of them. Okay, why? Because in extensive reading and intensive reading is depends on your extensive reading. How could I say that? Remember, the governor of Jakarta ever says that Indonesian reading interest is so low, but they not Indonesians reading comprehension is so low, but the reading interest is so high. How he can say that? He says because that mostly Indonesia has a high interest. Why? Because when you read WhatsApp, when you read Facebook, when you read Instagram, you like to do it, right? But our reading comprehension is quite low because sometimes we cannot find what information that need to be inferred from the text itself. That's why you need to practice both of extensive and intensive reading. Otherwise, if you used to read, it's mean that if you used to do the extensive reading, you're gonna develop the general skill of reading that is said before, right? This time I want to talk about it. When you already develop the reading skills, it means that the reading is already be your habit. Of course, it's gonna be your habit, right? Because in extensive reading, at least you must read 5 pages. 5 pages to be included as extensive reading, based on the one researchers that I've told you before, right? So, what is the connection with intensive reading? When you already have the habit of reading, it's gonna be easy for you to understand a text in intensive reading. That's why it's almost impossible. It's like you don't like reading, you don't have any habit of reading before, and suddenly you facing the task with the text. Although the text is short for you, yeah, it's although the relative short, it's gonna be hard for you to find what the text informations, what the text preserve inside it. So that's why extensive reading and intensive reading both need to be learned. For extensive reading for create the habit of reading, and intensive reading need to be learned to find the tips and tricks to answer the questions in the test. For this case, it's TOEFL test. Okay, for that, I would like to give you assessment about the extensive reading. You may choose any kinds of topic that you like, that you have interest with the topic. Can be sport, can be automotive, can be music, can be any politics. Yeah, some of you I know that like politics, like Zifi, you like politics, right? You also always watch about the politics news and things like that. Any about the environment, if you have any interest with environment. Yeah, like we have done in our school, like paperless and plasticless days, something like that. If you have any interest about what? Literature, of course, why not? But the art, it's up to you. So you may choose between the topics that you like. I'm not limiting it. So choose freely. Everything you can choose. And remember it at least 5 pages. Of course it needs to be in English, right? And then and then you make the summary of the text. You need, but in the form of video, like I'm doing now. You show me the text and you give the summary of the text to me. I give you time around 5 days, so before the next meeting, you need to submit it to me. Okay, if it a further question for me, you may ask me in the Zoom meeting after this. Okay, this is my next assessment. So to know whether you know the materials or not from me, to know whether you can get what I'm trying to say today, is by answering this question. Which one is intensive reading uh, from these pictures? You need to choose one. If you choose the pictures, we call this children reading and someone reading, and you need to choose which one is intensive reading. And you need to give me the reason why you think it as intensive reading based on the picture. That's for the summary for today. So I hope you learn something today, and it can be so useful for you for your of course for your TOEFL test and for your future later on. Okay, let's say Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Thank you for watching. Let's meet in the Zoom meeting after this. Bye.